Some cities rise from hills. This one rises from water. You are moving across the lake, not walking, not riding, gliding. The canoe beneath you is silent. The paddle dips into water without sound, without splash, just the soft resistance of blade meeting surface, pushing through, lifting again. The water is dark, black in the night, but not empty black, not void. The darkness has texture. Maffers for Wapperpeltsots. Movement, the lake breathes beneath you, gentle swells that lift the canoe and lower it. Rhythm so slow, you feel it more than see it. Stars are scattered across the sky above, thousands of them. More than you could count. They provide no light, not really, but their presence is enough to suggest depth, to show that the darkness overhead is sky rather than solid expanse. And the stars are below you, too. The lake reflects them, not perfectly. The surface moves too much for perfect reflection. But the stars appear in the water, scattered and trembling, creating the sense that you are moving through space rather than across liquid. Above and below, sky mirrored in lake. The boundary between uncertain. Ahead, something darker than the water. Shapes rising. Buildings, perhaps. Or hills. The distance makes distinction impossible. But the shapes are there, solid. Interrupting the flatness of the lake, you continue paddling. The rhythm is meditative. Dip, push, lift, dip, push, lift. The motion requires no thought. Your body knows it. Has done it countless times. The paddle is an extension of your arms. The canoe responds to the smallest adjustments. The air is cool, not cold. Cool in the way that night air is cool when the day has been warm and the heat has finally released into the sky. The coolness touches your face, your hands, reminds you that you are moving, that air is flowing past. As the canoe glides forward, light appears ahead, small, orange, a torch probably, mounted somewhere on the shore or on a building. The light is faint from this distance, just a point, but it provides orientation, direction, confirmation that the shapes ahead are not just darkness, but destination. More lights appear, not many, scattered, each one marking something, a doorway, a walkway, a place where people are or have been. The lights do not illuminate much, just themselves. Small circles of visibility in the larger darkness. The shapes ahead grow clearer, not suddenly, gradually. As distance decreases, details emerge. The shapes are buildings, stone and adobe rising from the lake, not from the shore, from the lake itself. The city sits on the water, rises from it, exists in a relationship with water that is immediate and absolute. You can see the edge of the city now, where buildings begin, where water becomes architecture. The transition is not sharp, not a wall or a barrier. Just the gradual presence of human construction emerging from the natural expanse of the lake. A temple appears, tall, much taller than the other buildings, a pyramid shape, stepped levels rising to a flat top. The structure is dark, stone, but torches burn at its base, small fires that mark its presence without revealing its details. The temple is a landmark, a reference point. During the day, it would be visible from anywhere on the lake, from any direction, a sign that the city is near. At night, it is silhouette, shape without color, mass without texture, but present, unmistakable. The water changes as you approach the city, not dramatically, just subtly. The swells are smaller, the surface is calmer. The presence of the city breaks the wind, creates shelter. The canoe moves more smoothly, more predictably. You can hear water now, not the lake itself, but water moving against stone, against wood. The gentle lap of waves touching the edges of the city. The sound is soft, rhythmic, another layer in the ambient quiet. Other canoes are visible, not many, a few scattered across the water. Some moving, some still, other people crossing the lake, coming or going, carrying things or simply traveling. The canoes are small shapes in darkness, present but not intrusive. Part of the pattern of movement that defines this place. One canoe passes close by. You can see the person paddling. Silhouette only. No features. No details. Just the shape of a body moving in rhythm with a paddle. The person does not call out, does not acknowledge you, just continues. The paths cross and separate, and each canoe continues toward its own destination. The city is close now, buildings rising directly from the water. You can see how they are constructed. Foundations that disappear into the lake, walls that rise from water level. The architecture accepts the presence of water as fundamental, works with it, builds upon it. Walkways connect buildings. Wooden planks raised slightly above the water. Narrow paths that allow movement on foot. The walkways are empty now. No one walking, just the structures themselves. Waiting, ready, canals appear. Channels of water that run between buildings, narrower than the lake, contained. The canals create passages, routes through the city. The water that surrounds the city also penetrates it, flows through it, becomes part of its internal structure. You guide the canoe toward one of these canals. The entrance is dark, just a gap between buildings, but you know it leads inward, toward the heart of the city, toward the plazas and temples and homes that exist beyond the outer edge. The canoe enters the canal. The water here is stiller, protected. The walls of buildings rise on either side, close enough that you could touch them if you extended your arm. The scale is intimate now, no longer the vast openness of the lake, just narrow passage. Contained space. The sky is a strip above. Buildings block most of it, but the strip is enough. Stars visible, moving past as the canoe glides forward. The city has accepted you, received you. You are no longer approaching. You are inside. The torchlights are closer here, mounted on walls, providing small circles of illumination. The light reflects off the water in the canal, creates moving patterns, ripples of brightness that shift and change as the water moves. You paddle slowly now, carefully. The canal is narrow. The walls are close. There is no room for carelessness. But the pace suits the atmosphere, the quiet, the sense of the city at rest. The canoe continues forward, deeper into the city. The buildings continue on either side, stone and adobe. Some with thatched roofs, some with flat roofs, different but similar, all part of the same architectural language, all responding to the same conditions of building on water. The city rises from water. That is its fundamental nature, its defining characteristic. The relationship is not abstract, not metaphorical. The city literally rests on the lake, floats on it, exists because the lake exists, and because people learn to build on water in ways that work. You think about what this means, how it shapes it, how movement happens by canoe as much as by foot, how water is not an obstacle but a resource, how the city is connected to the lake in ways that cities on land are not connected to the ground. The canoe moves on. The canal continues. The city surrounds you. Water below. buildings beside, sky above. You are inside now, inside the city that rises from water, inside the night that holds everything in gentle suspension. The paddle dips again, pushes, lifts, the rhythm continues, the journey continues, deeper into the canals, deeper into the quiet, deeper into the night of a city built on a lake. The canal curves slightly. You follow it. The buildings remain close on either sides, but they change, become different, not dramatically, just variations, different heights, different configurations. The pattern shifts while maintaining continuity. Wooden walkways appear more frequently, platforms extending from doorways, small docks where canoes can tie. The walkways are narrow, wide enough for one person, maybe two. They connect buildings to water, allow access, allow transition between movement by canoe and movement on foot. A ladder descends from one walkway into the water. Wood. The rungs are worn smooth by use, by hands gripping, by feet finding purchase when climbing from canoe to platform, or from platform to canoe. The ladder is empty now, no one climbing, just there, available, part of the infrastructure. Water in the canal is very still, more still than the lake, protected by the buildings, by the narrowness of the passage. The canoe's movement creates ripples, small waves that spread outward, touch the walls, reflect back. The waves intersect, create patterns, then gradually settle. You can see your reflection in the water when the canoe is still. Dark shape, distorted by the slight movement that never completely stops, but recognizable. You and the canoe, doubled, existing in water as well as on it. Another canoe is tied at a walkway ahead, empty, secured with rope to a post. The canoe rocks slightly in the wake of your passing, a gentle movement. The rope holds it close to the walkway, keeps it from drifting. The canoe is simple, hollowed log, shaped and smoothed, no decoration, just functional form, the kind of craft that is built in numbers, that serves daily purposes, that is tool rather than object of beauty. But there is beauty in its simplicity, in the clean lines, in the way it floats, in the relationship between form and function that requires no ornamentation. You pass the tied canoe, continue deeper into the canal system. The passage branches, splits into two channels, both narrow, both continuing into darkness, with occasional torchlight marking turns and intersections. You choose the left channel. The decision is arbitrary. Both lead somewhere. Both are part of the network that threads through the city. The canoe turns, enters the new passage. The buildings here are residential. You can tell by the scale, by the doorways, by the small details that suggest domestic life. Clay pots resting on walkways, woven mats rolled and propped against walls, a grinding stone visible through an open doorway. The doorways are dark, no light from inside. The families have gone to sleep or are sitting in darkness. The day's work is done. The fires are banked or extinguished. The homes are quiet, but the homes are not empty. You sense presence, the sense that behind the dark doorways, people are there, sleeping or resting or lying awake. The city holds thousands of people, most of them in spaces like these, most of them at rest in the night hours. The canal narrows further. The walls are closer now. You can touch both sides if you stretch your arms. The intimacy is complete. You are inside the lived spaces of the city, moving through channels that are as much corridors as waterways. A cooking fire glows faintly in a doorway ahead. Not bright, just embers. The fire has burned down to coals. red-orange, barely visible, but present, providing the smallest amount of light, holding heat that will last through the night. You pass the doorway, feel the warmth radiating out, brief, then gone as you move past. The contrast with the cool night air is noticeable. A pocket of warmth in the surrounding coolness. The city floats but feels stable. That is what strikes you, the sense of permanence, of solidity, despite being built on water. Despite the constant gentle movement of waves and ripples, the buildings feel grounded, secure, as permanent as buildings on land. The foundations are deep, driven into the lakebed, pilings and platforms that support the weight of stone and adobe, engineering that has been refined over generations. That works. That allows a city to exist where logic suggests a city should not be possible. You think about the balance, the relationship between human construction and natural environment. The city does not fight the lake, does not try to eliminate water or push it away. Instead, the city incorporates water, makes water part of itself, becomes a place where water and architecture exist together. The canal opens slightly, the passage widens, a small plaza appears, not large, just a widening where several canals meet. Water forms a pool, irregular shape. The buildings around it create the boundary. The plaza is empty. No canoes, no people on the walkways. Just the open water and the dark buildings and the faint torchlight from somewhere. A space designed for gathering, for commerce or conversation, or simply passing through. But now at night, serving only as negative space, as pause in the density of construction, you paddle across the plaza. The canoe moves freely, no longer constrained by narrow walls. The sense of openness is brief but significant, a reminder that the canal system has rhythm, narrow and wide, confined and open. The pattern repeats throughout the city. On the far side of the plaza, another canal entrance. You guide the canoe toward it. Enter. The walls close in again. The intimate scale returns. Moonlight appears. Not constant, just occasional. Where the buildings are low enough or set back enough that the sky is visible, the moon is somewhere overhead, not directly above, but present, providing ambient light, making the darkness less absolute. The moonlight touches the water, creates a path, a strip of illumination that moves as the canoe moves, that seems to lead forward, while actually just reflecting from wherever you are. The effect is gentle, calming, as if the moon is guiding you through the canals. You continue paddling. The rhythm is unchanged. Dip, push, lift. The paddle finds the water without conscious thought. Your body maintains the pattern, while your mind observes, notices, absorbs the experience of moving through this city. At night, more tide canoes appear, scattered along walkways, each one secured, each one empty. The people who use them during the day have finished their traveling, have reached their destinations, have tied their boats and gone inside, and will not use them again until morning. The canoes are evidence of routine, of daily patterns, of the rhythm of work and rest that structures life here, as it structures life everywhere. The city functions through the day. Movement and commerce and activity. Then night comes and the movement stops, and the city rests. But the water does not rest, cannot rest. The lake continues its gentle movement. The canals continue to hold and channel that movement. The water is constant, always present, always moving, just enough to remind you that it is liquid rather than solid. You pass a junction where three canals meet. The intersection is marked by a small platform, wooden, just large enough for a person to stand and orient themselves. to decide which passage to take. The platform is empty now. No one standing, no one deciding, just structure waiting for use. The canoe continues straight, through the junction, into another passage. The pattern continues. Buildings, water, walkways, the occasional torch, the endless geometry of a city built in relationship with a lake. You wonder how far the canals extend, how many passages exist, how complex the network is. The canals must reach every part of the city, must provide access to every building, must allow movement to happen by water as efficiently as movement by foot. The system is vast, intricate, but also simple in its logic. Water goes where it can go. Buildings define the channels. The channels become routes. The routes become the infrastructure that makes the city function. You think about navigation, about how people know where they are going. During the day, landmarks would be visible. The great temple, the plazas, the major buildings. But at night, with limited light and similar passages, navigation must be by memory, by familiarity, by knowing the pattern so well that conscious thought is not required. The canal curves again. You follow. The curve reveals another straight section. The pattern repeats. Curve, straight, curve. The canals are not planned in rigid geometry. They follow the logic of the buildings, of the spaces between, of the most efficient routes. The city holds you now, surrounds you completely. You have moved from the edge to the interior, from a boundary where lake and city meet to the dense center where buildings dominate and water exists primarily as passage. But you are still on water, still floating, still moving in a canoe guided by paddle. The fundamental relationship has not changed. The city may surround you, but water remains beneath you, supporting, enabling, defining how you move and what is possible. The canoe glides on, the canal continues, the night continues, and you move through it all, slowly, quietly, part of the pattern of water as stone and darkness that defines this place. When the sun is gone and the city rests, the canal widens again, not into a plaza this time, just a broader channel. The buildings here are set back slightly. Small spaces exist between the water's edge and the walls, not yards exactly, not gardens, just margins. Transitional spaces. You guide the canoe toward one of the walkways. The canoe nudges against wood. Gently, you secure it with rope, tie it to a post. The knot is simple, functional. The canoe will stay here. Wait while you move on foot for a while. You step from the canoe onto the walkway. The shift from floating to standing is subtle but noticeable. The walkway is stable, fixed, connected to pilings driven into the lake bed. It does not move with the water, does not respond to your weight the way the canoe did. The walkway leads to a building. Adobe walls, thick, smooth, but not perfectly smooth. The texture of the material visible, even in dim light. The walls are pale, or would be pale in daylight. At night they appear gray, dark gray where shadows fall. Lighter gray where moonlight touches. The roof is thatched, reeds or grass bundled and layered, sloped to shed rain. The thatch is thick, dense, providing insulation, keeping interior spaces cool during day and warmer at night. The thatch overhangs the walls slightly, creates shelter, protects the adobe from rain. A doorway stands open, just the opening. No door visible. Either no door exists, or it has been left open for air circulation. Through the doorway, darkness, interior space that shows no detail, just the absence of light. The suggestion of a room beyond. You do not enter. The home is not yours. The opening does not constitute invitation. You simply observe from the walkway, notice the details that are visible. The architecture, the construction, the relationship between building and water. Clay pots rest against the wall near the doorway, large, round, probably for storing water or grain or other provisions. The pots are simple, undecorated, functional objects shaped by hands and a fire. The clay is reddish-brown, or appears so in the limited light. A grinding stone sits on the walkway, flat surface, slightly concave from use. A smaller stone rests on top. The mano and metat, tools for grinding corn, for processing maize into flour, for preparing the food that sustains life here. The grinding stone is evidence of routine, of daily work, of the hours spent processing grain. The surface is worn smooth, not just from years but from generations. The stone has served multiple people, will serve more, is tool and heirloom simultaneously. A ladder leans against the wall, wood, simple construction. Rungs lashed to vertical poles. The ladder is for accessing the roof, or for descending from the walkway to the water when the fixed ladder is not convenient. The ladder is movable, can be positioned as needed. You continue along the walkway. More homes appear, similar to the first, variations on the same theme. Adobe walls, thatched roofs, doorways. The pattern repeats, but each home has small differences, slightly different dimensions, different arrangements of pots and tools, different relationships with the walkway and water. Some homes show faint light from within, very faint, the glow of embers in a hearth or a small oil lamp burning, just enough light to mark the presence of life without illuminating details. Through one doorway you glimpse movement, someone inside, moving slowly, a shadow crossing the faint glow of embers. The person is awake or has woken for some reason. They move without urgency, perform some small task, then disappear from view. The day has ended, but the water remains awake. That is the truth of living on a lake. The water never sleeps, never becomes completely still. Even in the calmest conditions, the lake moves, breathes, responds to wind and moon and the currents that flow through it, and the homes respond to the water, are built to accept its constant presence, to exist in relationship with it. The foundations acknowledge that what is beneath is not solid earth, but lake bed, that what surrounds is not air but water, that the environment is fundamentally different from dry land, but the adaptation is complete, natural. The homes do not seem precarious, do not seem at risk. They seem settled, appropriate, as if this is exactly where homes should be, on water, rising from it, existing in intimate relationship with it. You reach a corner where the walkway turns. Follow it. The turn reveals more homes, more walkways. The residential area extends farther than you can see. Hundreds of homes, thousands perhaps. Each one holds a family, each one part of the vast network of domestic life that fills the city. A mat hangs from a doorway, woven reeds. The mat serves as door when privacy is wanted, can be lifted and tied back when air needs to circulate. Now it hangs loosely, partially covering the opening, moving slightly in the breeze that flows along the canal. Behind the mat you sense presence, people sleeping, bodies at rest on mats spread across the floor. Children, perhaps, parents, multiple generations in one space. The intimacy of family life contained within adobe walls. You think about the routines, the patterns of daily life, waking before dawn, preparing food. The men going to work in fields or markets or workshops, the women grinding corn, making tortillas, tending children, everyone contributing to the household's sustenance. Then evening, the return, the meal, the gradual transition from work to rest, fires dimming, conversations quieting, bodies settling, the household preparing for night, and then this, darkness, quiet, the city at rest. The homes holding their families, the water holding the homes, the pattern of containment, extending from individual to family to city to lake. You continue walking. The walkway extends along the canal. More homes, always more homes. The residential scale is vast, the population concentrated. The city is densely built because space on the lake is limited. Because every building site must be created through the effort of driving pilings and building platforms, so homes are close together, walkways are narrow, the sense of community is physical. Immediate, neighbors are not distant, are separated only by walls, can hear each other, know each other's routines, exist in constant proximity, but there is privacy too. The walls provide it. The darkness provides it. The convention of not entering where you are not invited. The social structures that allow dense living without constant friction. A dog lies on a walkway ahead, curled, sleeping or resting. The dog does not move as you approach, does not raise its head, just continues to sit, rest, confident, comfortable, at home in this space. You step around the dog, continue. The dog remains motionless, a small life at rest in the larger pattern of the city at rest. Another ladder descends into the water. This one is attached to the walkway, fixed. The rungs disappear below the surface. The ladder allows access to the canal, for bathing, perhaps, or for retrieving something, or simply for the pleasure of entering the water. The water at the ladder's base ripples slightly, some small current, some movement beneath the surface. The lake is alive, contains fish and plants and microorganisms, is ecosystem as well as resource. You reach a point where the walkway ends, or rather, where it meets a larger platform, a communal space. The platform is wider than the walkways, provides room for multiple people, for gathering, for shared activities. The platform is empty now, but you can imagine it during the day. Women gathering to weave, to grind corn together, to talk while working, children playing. The platform as extension of the home, as semi-public space, as the place where domestic life becomes social. But now, at night, the platform is just structure, wood over water, empty of people, holding only potential, only the memory of use and the promise of future use. You stand on the platform. Look back the way you came. The canal stretches into darkness. The homes line both sides. The walkways connect them. The water flows between. The pattern is clear, orderly, functional, but also beautiful. There is beauty in the functionality, in the adaptation to environment, in the intelligence of the design, in the way human needs are met through architecture that accepts rather than fights the presence of water. The night continues. The homes continue to rest. The families continue to sleep. Water continues to move gently beneath everything, and you stand on the platform between walkway and canal, observing the quiet geometry of a city built on a lake. You return to the canoe, untie the rope, step from the walkway into the boat. The shift from stable platform to floating vessel is familiar now. Your body adjusts automatically. The canoe rocks slightly, then settles. You push away from the walkway. The paddle dips into water. The canoe begins to move. back into the canal, away from the residential area, towards something else. The canal opens, widens significantly. The buildings fall away on either side. The enclosed feeling dissipates. You are moving into open water again, not the vast expanse of the main lake, but a wider channel, a different kind of space. Shapes appear in the water ahead, dark rectangles, regular, organized, too precise to be natural. These are not islands in the conventional sense. These are constructed, built, floating on the water while being anchored to the lake bed below. Chinampas, the floating gardens. You guide the canoe closer to one of these rectangular plots. The edge is defined by woven branches, wicker-like barriers that hold soil in place. The barrier rises slightly above the water level, just enough to contain the earth that fills the rectangular space. Plants grow from the soil. You can see them silhouetted against the sky. Tall stalks, maize, corn, growing in neat rows. The plants are dark shapes, details invisible in the night. But the forms are unmistakable. The distinctive outline of corn stalks, leaves, tassels at the top. The chinampa extends farther than you can see clearly, 20 feet, maybe 30. Rectangular plot of agricultural land existing in the middle of the lake. The plot is one of many. You can see others nearby, and beyond those, more. The pattern continues. A vast network of floating gardens. Narrow channels of water separate the chinampas, just wide enough for a canoe to pass through. The channels create a grid. Rows and columns of water between rows and columns of land. The geometry is precise, intentional, planned for efficiency and access. You paddle into one of these channels. The water here is very calm, protected by the chinampas on either side. The plants above block wind, create shelter. The canoe moves through stillness. The soil in the chinampas is dark, rich. You can see it where the woven barrier is visible. Earth that has been dredged from the lake bed, mixed with vegetation, composted, made fertile. This is not the thin, exhausted soil that requires rest and rotation. This is continuously renewed earth, fed by the lake itself. Plants rustle slightly, corn leaves moving in whatever breeze exists above the water. The sound is soft, organic, the whisper of vegetation, natural sound in the constructed landscape. You think about what these chinampas represent, not just gardens, not just fields, but the transformation of water into land, the creation of agricultural space where none existed naturally, the expansion of possibility through human ingenuity and labor. The chinampas are not simple. They require constant maintenance. The barriers must be repaired. The soil must be replenished. Weeds must be removed. Crops must be planted and tended and harvested. The work is ongoing, seasonal, never finished, but the result is remarkable. Land that produces continuously, multiple harvests per year, abundance that feeds a city of thousands, agriculture that does not depend on rain or distant fields, but exists here, within and upon the lake that surrounds the city. You pass another chinampa. This one shows different crops, lower plants, harder to identify in darkness, beans perhaps, or squash. The diversity is intentional. Different crops serve different purposes, provide different nutrients. Together they create a balanced diet. A tree grows at the corner of one chinampa, small, not tall, but present. Trees are planted at intervals. Their roots help hold the soil. Their presence provides shade for certain crops. Their wood serves practical purposes. Even the trees are part of the agricultural system. Light mist hovers above the chinampas, not thick, not fog, just moisture suspended in air. The plants release water through their leaves. The lake releases water through evaporation. The air holds the moisture when conditions are right, creates this visible layer that floats above the gardens. The mist catches what little light exists. Moonlight, starlight, the distant glow of torches in the city. The mist becomes faintly luminous, a veil that softens everything, that makes the night more dreamlike, more ethereal. You continue through the channels. The pattern repeats. Chinampa, chinam, chinampa, chinam. The grid extends in all directions. You could navigate this network for hours. Could follow the channels to different sections, different crops, different stages of growth. But the experience would be similar. The same sense of order, the same relationship between water and land, the same evidence of sustained human effort to create abundance from the lake. A bird calls, somewhere in the darkness, a water bird, probably, living among the chinampas, finding food and shelter in the ecosystem created by agriculture. The bird's call is brief, a single note. Then silence returns, life growing quietly. That is what you sense here, growth happening without fanfare, without drama, seeds germinating, roots spreading, stems elongating, leaves unfurling. The patient process of plants becoming what they are meant to become. The growth does not stop at night, cannot stop. Plants grow continuously when conditions allow. Darkness does not halt the process, just makes it invisible. The corn you see silhouetted is taller than it was yesterday, will be taller tomorrow, grows while the city sleeps. You think about the people who tend these gardens, the farmers who wake before dawn, who paddle to their assigned chinampas, who spend the day planting or weeding or harvesting, who know every plant, every section, every stage of development. The farmers are not here now, have returned to their homes, have eaten their evening meal, have rested their bodies from the physical labor of agriculture. Will return tomorrow and continue the work that never ends. But the chinampas do not need the farmers at night. The plants continue on their own. The soil holds its fertility. The woven barriers maintain their structure. The system functions without constant human presence. You reach a wider intersection where multiple channels meet. The water forms a small pool. You can see several chinampas from here. The rectangular plots arranged in geometric precision. The crops growing in orderly rows. The channels creating the infrastructure that makes access possible. The pool is still, more still than the lake, protected, almost glassy. The surface reflects the sky. The stars appear in the water, not scattered as in the open lake, but clear, precise. Each star mirrored exactly, as if the pool is a window into another sky. Beneath the water, you remain still in the canoe. Let it drift. The movement is minimal, almost imperceptible. The canoe turns slowly, rotates in the gentle currents. You see different angles of the chinampas, different perspectives on the same agricultural landscape. The silence is profound here. The city is distant. No sounds of human activity reach this place, just the natural sounds. Water moving, plants rustling, the occasional bird, the wind when it exists. And beneath the silence, a deeper quiet, the quiet of growth, of life proceeding at its own pace, of systems functioning without need for announcement or explanation. You begin paddling again. Choose a channel, follow it. The chinampas continue on either side. The pattern does not change, does not vary significantly. This is the nature of intentional agriculture: repetition, efficiency. The same methods apply across vast areas, but the repetition is not boring, is not monotonous. Each chinampa has subtle differences, slightly different dimensions, slightly different crops. Different stages of growth. The pattern holds, but variation exists within it. You think about sustainability, about how this system can continue indefinitely if maintained. The lake provides water and nutrients. The farmers provide labor and knowledge. The chinampas produce food. The cycle is closed, self-sustaining, unlike agriculture that depletes soil, that requires new land, that exhausts one area and moves to another. This agriculture renews itself. The lake bed provides endless soil. The organic matter continuously enriches it. The system can feed a large population without destroying its own foundation. The channel you are following narrows. The chinampas close in. The plants overhang the water slightly. Corn leaves within reach. You could touch them if you extended your hand, but you do not. You simply pass beneath. Through the corridor of agriculture, the mist is thicker here, more visible. Creates halos around the plants, makes everything slightly indistinct. The boundaries between solid and air soften. The world becomes suggestion rather than certainty. You emerge from the narrow channel. The space opens again. More chinampas, more channels. The network continues. Vast, intricate. The agricultural foundation that makes the city possible. Without these gardens, city could not exist. Not at this scale, not with this population. The chinampas are not decoration, not peripheral. They are essential. The transformation of lake into food. The conversion of water and labor its sustenance. And they are beautiful, not incidentally, not accidentally, but inherently. The geometry pleases the eye. The orderly rows of crops create visual rhythm. The relationship between land and water is graceful. Function and beauty converge. The canoe continues. You paddle slowly, no destination in mind. Just moving through the network, observing, absorbing, present in this space where human ingenuity has reshaped landscape without destroying it, where agriculture and water coexist, where night holds the gardens as gently as it holds everything else. You have left the chinampas behind. The canoe moves through wider water now, back toward the city's center. The residential areas give way to something different, something larger in scale. Buildings appear ahead, but not homes. These structures are taller, more massive, stone rather than adobe. Architecture that announces importance through size and material. The great temple rises before you, not gradually, not with warning, just suddenly present as you round a corner in the canal. The pyramid is enormous, 4 sides rising in steps, each level smaller than the one below. The structure tapers toward the top, toward the sky. The base is wide, occupying space that would hold dozens of homes. The foundation is solid, stone blocks fitted together with precision. The pyramid is not floating, not built on pilings like homes. This structure required different engineering, different foundation. Solid support for massive weight. The pyramid rises in tiers. You cannot count them in the darkness. 6 levels, perhaps, or 7. Each tier is defined by a horizontal line where the slope changes, where one level ends and the next begins. Stairs climb the front face, steep, rising directly up the center. The stairs are stone. Each step the same height, the same depth, regular, unforgiving. Climbing them would be work, would require effort and attention. The stairs lead to the top, to a platform you cannot see clearly from this angle, a flat space where the pyramid terminates, where something sits or stands, a temple chamber, a place for ritual. But the details are lost in darkness. Torches burn at the base of the pyramid, small fires in iron holders. The torches mark the entrance, the beginning of the stairs. They provide light, but not much. Just enough to show that the pyramid exists, that it is accessible, that it serves some purpose even at night. The torchlight does not reach far up the pyramid. The lower tier is illuminated. Shows the stone, the texture, the precision of construction. But above that, the pyramid fades into shadow. The upper tiers are dark, defined only by their silhouette against the slightly less dark sky. You guide the canoe closer, not to the pyramid itself, but to the plaza that surrounds it. The water ends at a stone edge, a raised platform. The pyramid sits on this platform, elevated above the lake level. You can see the scale now. The pyramid is larger than you realized, taller. The perspective from the water makes it seem infinite, as if it continues upward forever, as if the top does not exist, but is merely suggested. The temple watches the water. That is how it feels. The pyramid has presence, weight. It does not simply exist in space. It claims space, dominates space, makes everything else secondary through its sheer mass and height. But the dominance is not aggressive, not threatening. The pyramid is too still for threat, too permanent. It simply is, has been, will continue to be. Its presence is fact, rather than assertion. You think about construction, about the labor required to build something like this, the cutting of stone, the transport, the lifting, the fitting, the years or decades of continuous work, the coordination of hundreds or thousands of people. The pyramid represents collective effort, sustained over time, directed toward a single purpose, the creation of something that transcends individual life, that will outlast any person who built it. And the purpose is not practical, not shelter, not storage, not defense. The pyramid serves symbolic purposes, religious purposes, social purposes. It is monument, statement, physical expression of beliefs and values. But at night, with minimal light, the purpose recedes. What remains is form, masts, the architectural reality, stone-shaped and stacked, geometry imposed on material, the pyramid as object rather than meaning. You paddle along the edge of the plaza. The pyramid dominates, but other structures exist, smaller buildings flanking it, temples or administrative buildings, also stone, also substantial, but dwarfed by the central pyramid. These smaller buildings are dark, no torches, no light from within. Whatever happens in them during the day has ceased. They are empty, waiting. The plaza is not active at night. During the day, this plaza would be crowded, people gathering, ceremonies being performed, the business of religion and governance happening in public view. The pyramid as backdrop and focus, the space as theater. But now, the plaza is empty. The stone is bare. The buildings are dark. The pyramid rises in silence. The city sleeps and the pyramid keeps watch, or seems to. The impression of watching, of presence, of awareness. You look up at the pyramid, try to see the top. The angle is too steep, the darkness too complete. You can see the lower tiers, can follow the slope upward for a distance, but eventually the form merges with sky. The boundary becomes uncertain. You imagine the view from the top, looking down at the city, at the lake, at the mountains beyond. During the day, the view would be extraordinary, comprehensive, the entire valley visible. The cities spread below like a model, the world at your feet. But at night, the view would be different, mostly darkness, scattered lights marking the city, the lake reflecting moon and stars, the mountains as darker masses against the dark sky, a view of shadows and suggestions rather than details. No one is at the top now. You are certain of this. The pyramid is empty. The stairs hold no climbers. The structure exists without human presence, monumental but unoccupied. A breeze moves across the plaza. You feel it, cool, carrying moisture from the lake. The breeze touches the pyramid, flows around it. The stone is too massive to move, too heavy to be affected by wind. But the air moves, changes, responds to the presence of the structure. You think about time, about how long the pyramid has stood, years, decades, perhaps longer. The stone does not decay quickly, does not erode easily. The pyramid will stand for a long time, will outlast the people who built it, will outlast you. And yet the pyramid is not eternal. Nothing is eternal. Eventually, given enough time, the stone will crumble, the structure will fall. The pyramid will return to rubble, to raw material. The cycle is slow but inevitable, but that is far in the future, so far as to be irrelevant. For now, for the foreseeable future, the pyramid stands, solid, permanent, a feature of the landscape. As much as the mountains or the lake, you continue paddling around the plaza. Along the edge where water meets stone, the pyramid rotates slowly in your vision, shows different faces. Each side is similar, each rises in the same pattern of steps. But the angle changes what you see, changes the silhouette. Other pyramids are visible in the distance, smaller or farther away. The city has multiple temples, multiple pyramids. This is the largest, the most central, but not the only one. The pattern repeats across the city at different scales. The pyramids create a skyline, define the city's profile. From the lake, from any direction the pyramids are visible, are landmarks, are the features that say this is the city, before any other details become clear. But at night, the pyramids are simplified, become pure form, triangular shapes against sky, geometry without detail, the essence of structure without the complexity of surface. You turn the canoe away from the plaza, back into a canal. The pyramid recedes behind you, remains visible for a while as a dark mass, then is hidden by buildings, disappears from view, but remains in memory. In the impression it left, in the sense of scale and permanence it communicated. The city continues around you. The canals continue. The water continues. But the pyramid has changed something, has reminded you that this city is not just homes and gardens, is not just practical spaces. The city also contains monumental architecture, contains structures built for purposes beyond the immediate and functional. The pyramid stands, the night continues, and you move through the darkness, carrying the memory of stone rising impossibly high, of mass dominating space, of human construction reaching towards sky. The canal leads to a different area. The buildings here are larger than the homes, more substantial, not as massive as the temple pyramid, but significant, important in a different way. These are compounds. Residential but not simple homes. Walls enclose multiple structures, create private spaces. The walls are stone, tall, higher than a person can see over. The stone is worked smooth, fitted carefully. These walls are not decorative. They are boundaries, definitions of inside and outside. You guide the canoe to a walkway, tie it, step onto stone rather than wood. The walkway here is stone, cut blocks laid in pattern. The surface is even, solid, different from the wooden walkways of the residential areas. The walkway leads to a gate, wood and iron. The gate is closed, but not locked, or not visibly locked. You approach. The gate is tall, reaches nearly to the top of the wall, made of heavy wood, reinforced with iron bands. You do not attempt to open the gate. The compound beyond is private, not for casual entry, but through gaps in the wood you can see inside, glimpses, partial views, a courtyard, open space within the walls, paved with stone. The stone is smooth, almost polished, regular blocks fitted together. The courtyard is empty, no people, no objects in the center, just open space. Buildings surround the courtyard on all four sides. The buildings are stone, adobe in some places, but primarily stone. One story, flat roofs, doorways opening onto the courtyard, rooms arranged around the central space. This is how wealth is expressed here, not through height, not through decoration, through space, through the ability to claim and enclose area, through stone rather than adobe, through compounds rather than single structures. The courtyard holds silence, the kind of silence that comes with enclosure, with walls that block sound from outside. The city exists beyond the walls. Canals, other buildings, movement. But inside the compound, the city is distant, muffled, almost absent. You move along the walkway. It curves, follows the outer wall of the compound. Through gaps and gates, you see other courtyards, similar but different, each one unique in its details, while sharing the same basic form. One courtyard shows a central hearth, stone circle, ashes visible even in darkness. The hearth is where the household gathers, where fires burn during cool evenings, where food is prepared, where the center of domestic life exists. But the fire's out now, has been out for hours. The ashes are cold. No heat radiates, no glow shows, just the residue of combustion, the evidence of fire without the fire itself. Clay vessels are stacked near one wall, large jars for storage, for water, for grain. The jars are orderly, arranged by size, protected from rain by the roof overhang. The jars are plain, functional, but their presence speaks of abundance, of resources stored, of preparation for future needs. Another courtyard shows woven mats spread on the stone, for sitting, for working. The mats are empty now, but you can imagine them during the day, occupied by people, by family members engaged in various tasks, weaving, preparing food, talking. The mats as the interface between hard stone and soft bodies. The stone floors are cooling. You can sense it even without touching. Stone absorbs heat during the day, holds it, releases it slowly through the night. By now, hours after sunset, the stone is cool. Not cold, not yet, but no longer holding warmth. By morning, the stone will be cold, will need the sun to warm it again. The cycle repeats daily, stone warming and cooling, the temperature of the courtyards rising and falling with the sun. Even stone grows softer at night. Not physically. Stone does not change, does not become less hard, but the perception changes. Stone seems less imposing in darkness, less severe. The shadows soften edges, hide the precise lines, make everything gentler. You think about the people who live in these compounds. Wealthy people. Merchants, perhaps, or officials, or priests, people with resources, with status, with the ability to claim space in a city where space is limited and valuable, but they sleep like everyone else. Lie on mats, close their eyes, breathe slowly, enter the same unconscious state that everyone enters. Wealth does not exempt anyone from the need for rest. The compounds are quiet, deeply quiet. The stone walls block sound. The enclosed courtyards create isolation. Each compound is its own small world, connected to the city by gates and walkways, but separate, private, distinct. You pass a compound with a tree in the courtyard, visible through the gate. A tree growing from earth brought to the courtyard, or a tree that was there first and the compound built around it. Either way, the tree provides shade during the day, provides beauty, provides connection to the natural world within the constructed environment. The tree is dark now, just a shape. Branches reaching upward, leaves invisible, but the form is clear, organic curves against the geometric lines of the architecture. Nature and human construction coexisting in the same space. The walkway continues, more compounds. The pattern repeats. Walls, gates, courtyards, the architecture of a privacy and status, the physical manifestation of social hierarchy. But at night, the hierarchy is invisible. The compounds are dark, the courtyards are empty. The stone walls simply define space without announcing the importance of who lives within. Darkness creates equality, makes all structures similar, reduces everything to form and shadow. You reach a point where the walkway ends, opens onto a larger canal. The compounds give way to other buildings. The pattern changes. You return to the canoe, untie it. Push away from the stone walkway. The canoe enters the canal. The water receives you. The city continues around you, but you carry the impression of the courtyards, of the enclosed spaces, of stone floors and high walls, and of private worlds that exist within the larger public world of the city. The night continues. The stone continues to cool. The courtyards continue to hold their emptiness, and you move on, through water, through darkness, through the endless variation of a city built on a lake. The canal widens into a basin. The water spreads, becomes a pool large enough that distance exists between one side and the other. This is a gathering place, a node in the network, a point where multiple routes meet. The basin is surrounded by a plaza, wide, flat, stone paving extending from the water's edge. The plaza is vast, much larger than the residential plazas, larger than the courtyards of the compounds. This is public space, space for many people, for commerce, for exchange. You guide the canoe to the edge, step onto stone. The plaza receives you, empty, silent, but holding the memory of activity. The stone remembers thousands of feet, remembers the weight of goods, remembers the patterns of movement that define this place during daylight. Stalls line the edges of the plaza. Permanent structures, wooden frames, thatched roofs. Each stall is a designated space for a vendor, for someone selling something. The stalls are empty now, closed. Whatever was displayed during the day has been removed, packed away, taken home or stored elsewhere. But evidence of commerce remains, a woven basket forgotten in a corner, a piece of cloth draped over a beam, a clay pot sitting on a platform, small things left behind, waiting for their owners to return and reclaim them. You walk between the stalls. The covered passages create corridors. The thatch blocks starlight, makes the spaces beneath darker than the open plaza. Your footsteps echo slightly, sound contained by the structures. Reflected back, one stall shows textiles, folded, stacked, cloth of different colors, different weaves. The textiles are organized by type, by quality, ready to be displayed tomorrow, ready to be examined and negotiated over and purchased. The cloth is dark now, colors invisible, just the texture suggesting what they are, rough or smooth, thick or thin. The visual qualities will return with daylight. For now, the textiles are just geometric shapes, rectangles of fabric, evidence of craft. Another stall holds pottery, stacked carefully, bowls, jars, plates, each piece formed by hand, each one unique, even if similar to others. The pottery shows variations in size, in shape, in the marks left by the maker's fingers. The pottery is functional, made for use, for holding water or food or other household necessities. But there is artistry in the form, in the proportions, in the attention to detail. Function and beauty are not separate. You reach the center of the plaza. Stop. Look around. The market extends in all directions. Stalls arranged in rows, pathways between them. The organization is clear even in darkness. Even without activity, the pattern is permanent. During the day, this plaza would be filled. Hundreds of people, maybe thousands, vendors calling out, buyers examining goods, negotiations happening, money changing hands, food being prepared and eaten, the sensory overload of a functioning market. But all of that is gone now, suspended. The day's commerce has ended. The vendors have returned home. The buyers have dispersed. The market exists in potential only, waiting for morning to become actual again. Moonlight stretches across the plaza, unobstructed by buildings. The open space allows light to spread. The stone reflects it, creates subtle variations in brightness, areas of clarity, areas of shadow. The moonlight reveals the plaza's vastness. You think about what is traded here. Food, obviously. Maize from the Chinampas, beans, squash, chiles, tomatoes. The agricultural abundance of the lake gardens finding its way to consumers. Fresh produce, daily sustenance, but also manufactured goods, cloth, pottery, tools, obsidian blades, jewelry, cacao, salt, the products of specialized labor, of craft knowledge, of trade networks that extend beyond the city, beyond the lake, into distant regions. The market is where these things converge, where farmers and craftspeople and merchants meet, where goods change hands, where the economic life of the city becomes visible and tangible. And the market is social space too, where people encounter each other, where information is exchanged along with goods, where relationships form and continue, where the city becomes community through repeated daily interaction. But is daylight reality. Night reality is different. The plaza is empty of people, empty of transaction. It holds only structure, only the framework that makes commerce possible. The physical infrastructure waiting for human activity to animate it. A platform stands at one end of the plaza, raised, stone, This is where administrators might stand, where announcements might be made, where disputes might be settled. The platform gives elevation, visibility, authority. The platform is empty. No one stands on it. No voice projects from it. It is just structure, stone shaped and placed, potential without actualization. You walk to the platform, climb the steps, stand on the raised surface. From here, the plaza is fully visible. The stalls, the pathways, the basin of water, the canals leading away in different directions. The organization becomes clear. And beyond the plaza, the city continues. Buildings, canals, more plazas, residential areas, temple precincts. The market is one part of a larger whole, connected, integrated, sensual but not solitary. You think about systems, about how the city functions through the interaction of parts. The chinampas produce food, the market distributes it, the homes consume it, the temples organize meaning, the canals enable movement, everything connected, everything dependent on everything else. The system is complex, but it works, has worked for generations, continues to work. The city exists because the system exists, because the parts function and interact and create something larger than any individual component. A place built for voices now holds silence. That is the truth of the empty market. The plaza is designed for sound, for the layered noise of commerce, for calls and conversations and negotiations, for the acoustic texture of many people in one space. But silence is what it holds now. Deep silence. The silence of absence, of potential not being fulfilled, of structure waiting for purpose. The silence is not sad, not lacking, just different. The market is not diminished by emptiness. It is simply in a different state, the state of pause, of rest, of preparation for the next cycle of activity. You descend from the platform, walk back across the plaza, past the stalls, past the stacked goods, past the evidence of craft and trade, back toward the basin where the canoe waits. The market will wake tomorrow. The vendors will return. The stalls will open. Goods will be displayed. People will come. The plaza will fill with activity and sound and the energy of exchange. But that is tomorrow. Now is night. Now is emptiness. Now is the market at rest, holding its silence, waiting patiently for dawn to bring renewal. You return to the canoe, untie it, push away from stone. The basin opens before you. You paddle toward a canal, leave the market behind. The plaza remains. The stalls remain. The structure remains, empty but enduring, silent but ready. You have moved beyond the densest part of the city. The buildings are more scattered here. Spaces open between structures. The canals widen. The sense of compression eases, and the sky becomes visible, not just glimpses between buildings, not just strips above narrow passages. The full sky, vast, extending from horizon to horizon, unobstructed, complete. You guide the canoe to a shallow area, a place where the lake bed rises close to the surface, where you can step from the canoe and stand in water that reaches only to your knees. The canoe is secured, left floating in the shallows. You wade to slightly higher ground, earth covered by shallow water, solid enough to stand on, a vantage point, a place to pause and look upward without the constraints of narrow passages or the need to navigate. The sky is enormous, black but not empty, filled with stars, more stars than you could ever count. They scatter across the darkness in patterns that seem random but are not, patterns that repeat night after night. that have been observed and named and used for navigation and calendar keeping for generations. Some stars are brighter than others, stand out, demand attention. These are the landmarks of the night sky, the points of reference, the stars that can be recognized individually, rather than as part of constellations. Other stars are dim, barely visible, requiring attention to see, but present, contributing to the overall density, to the sense that the darkness is not a void, but a populated space, that the universe contains multitudes. The stars do not move, not in any way you can perceive. They are fixed, stable, the same positions night after night. The patterns are reliable, dependable, knowledge written in light. But the sky itself moves. The entire celestial sphere rotates slowly around a central point. The movement is too slow to see directly, but over hours the change becomes apparent. Stars rise in the east, set in the west. The sky turns like a vast wheel. Mountains frame the horizon. You can see them, dark shapes against the slightly less dark sky. The mountains ring the valley, create boundaries, define the limits of the world as you know it. Beyond the mountains, other places exist, but they are distant, abstract. The valley is home. The valley is center. The mountains are not uniform. Some peaks are higher than others. Some slopes are gentler. Each mountain has character, distinctiveness, can be recognized. During the day, the mountains are visible in detail. At night, they are silhouettes, suggestions of form, boundaries between earth and sky. One mountain rises higher than the rest. Distinctive profile. This mountain is important, sacred. Its presence shapes the valley. Its snow-capped peak is visible even from great distances. The mountain watches over the lake, over the city, over the empire. But at night, the mountain is just shape, dark mass. The details are invisible. The snow is invisible. Only the outline remains. The sense of height and permanence. The reminder that some things are larger than the city, larger than human construction. The moon is rising, not full, 3/4 perhaps, the crescent of shadow visible at one edge. The moon appears from behind the mountains, slowly, the bright disk emerging. The light growing stronger as more of the moon becomes visible. Moonlight transforms the scene. What was barely visible becomes clear. The water reflects the light. The mountains become more distinct. The temple pyramids in the city are suddenly obvious. Geometric shapes rising from the urban landscape. The moon continues its rise, pulls free of the mountains, floats in the sky. The light it provides is cool, silver, different from sunlight, softer, less harsh, but bright enough to see by, bright enough to cast shadows. Clouds move across the sky, slow, massive. They are visible only where they block stars, where the pattern of light is interrupted. The clouds drift, carried by wind that exists high above, wind that does not reach ground level, wind that moves in its own realm. One cloud passes in front of the moon. The light dims. The scene darkens. The moon is still there, still bright, but filtered, diffused. The cloud blows from within, illuminated by the moon behind it, white-gray, luminous. Then the cloud passes. The moon emerges. The light returns. The cycle of obscuration and revelation. The moon unaffected, continuing its path across the sky, patient, inevitable. You look down at the lake. The water reflects everything. Sky, stars, moon, mountains. The reflections are distorted by ripples, by the constant slight movement of the surface, but recognizable. The world doubled, existing above and below simultaneously. temple silhouettes are visible against the sky. The pyramids, the stepped forms, rising from the city, interrupting the horizontal line of the urban landscape, creating a skyline that is distinctive, that marks this place as different from natural terrain. The largest temple is clear, the central pyramid, its mass obvious even in silhouette. The structure dominates, commands attention. The other pyramids are smaller, but they reinforce the pattern. The rhythm of sacred architecture distributed across the city. The sky remains. That thought arrives unbidden. The sky remains. It was here before the city, before the lake was settled. Before people came to this valley, the sky has watched the valley change, has watched the city grow, has remained constant while everything beneath it transformed, and the sky will remain after. Long after, when the city is gone, when the lake changes, when the valley holds different things, the sky will continue, stars will scatter, moon will rise and set, clouds will drift. The celestial patterns will persist. The water remains. The lake predates the city, was here before, will be here after. The water fills the valley because geography and geology created a basin. Because rivers flow and rain falls and water accumulates, the lake exists independent of human presence. The city has shaped the lake, the chinampas, the canals, the causeways. Human activity has modified the natural system, but the lake remains fundamentally itself. Water, moving, supporting life, following the laws of physics and chemistry that govern all water everywhere. The city remains. For now, in this moment, in this night, the city exists, functional, occupied, alive, thousands of people sleeping in their homes, the architecture standing, the systems operating. The city is real, present, undeniable, but you sense something, a quality you cannot name, a feeling that resides just beneath consciousness. The city is strong, magnificent, but also vulnerable, contingent, dependent on systems continuing, on conditions remaining favorable, on nothing disrupting the careful balance. You do not think about what could disrupt it. Do not imagine specific threats. Just sense the general truth that all things change, that nothing remains the same forever, that the city, like everything, exists in time, and time moves forward. But these thoughts are distant, abstract. The city is here now. That is what matters. The night, the sky, the water, the stone, the sleeping people, all of it present, all of it real. You stand in the shallow water. Look up. The sky continues its slow rotation. The stars remain fixed in their patterns. The moon continues its arc. The clouds drift past. The mountains frame everything, silent witnesses. The night asks nothing, demands nothing, simply exists, holds the valley, holds the lake, holds the city, holds you standing in water, looking upward, present in this moment that will pass and become memory, but is, right now, real and complete. You wade back to the canoe. The water is cool, not cold. Cool in the way that large bodies of water are cool at night. The lake holds temperature more steadily than air, moderates extremes. Makes the night less cold than it would be without the water's presence. You climb into the canoe, push away from the shallows, paddle toward the edge of the city, away from the center, toward the periphery, toward the boundary between the city and the larger lake. The buildings thin, become more scattered. The architecture changes. Fewer stone structures, more simple constructions. The edge is different from the center, less dense, less monumental. the city gradually releasing into the natural landscape of the lake. You reach a causeway, one of the great raised roads that connects the island city to the mainland. The causeway is stone and earth, built up from the lake bed, rising above water level, wide enough for people to walk side by side, for goods to be carried, for traffic to flow. The causeway stretches into the distance, a straight line across the water. During the day, you would be able to see where it reaches land, where the lake ends and the shore begins. But at night, the causeway extends into darkness, the far end invisible. The causeway is empty. No travelers, no porters carrying goods, no messengers running, just the structure itself, stone and earth rising from water. Human engineering creating connection where water creates separation. You paddle alongside the causeway, close enough to see details, the stone blocks, the mortar between them, the slight variations in construction. The causeway is not perfect, not uniform. It shows the marks of being built section by section, repaired over time, maintained by continuous effort. But it works, serves its purpose, allows movement across water without boats, connects the city to the lands beyond, enables trade, enables travel, enables the flow of goods and people and information that makes the city viable. Bridges interrupt the causeway at intervals, open sections where water can flow beneath, where canoes can pass. The bridges are necessary. The lake needs circulation. Water needs to move. The causeway cannot block the lake completely without creating problems. You pass under one of these bridges. The canoe glides through shadow, stone arch overhead, water channeled through the narrow opening. Then you emerge on the other side. The causeway continues. The pattern repeats. The horizon is visible now, where sky meets water or where sky meets land. The distinction is unclear. The horizon is just a line, darker below, slightly less dark above, the boundary between. The horizon is distant, miles away. The valley is vast. The lake is vast. Even from the center of the city, the edges are far. The scale is difficult to comprehend. The valley contains multitudes. You think about what lies beyond the horizon, other cities, other peoples, mountains, forests, coasts. The world extends beyond the valley. The empire extends beyond the valley. Trade routes reach far. Tribute flows from distant regions. But those distances are abstract. What is real is here. The lake, the city, the valley. The horizon marks the limit of direct vision. Beyond it, the world exists through report, through travelers' descriptions, through trade goods that arrive from elsewhere, but not through direct experience. The lake is calm here, at the edge, away from the canals and buildings, just open waters stretching toward the horizon. The surface moves gently, swells that lift and lower the canoe. The rhythm is soothing, hypnotic, the water breathing. You stop paddling. Let the canoe drift. There is no current strong enough to carry you far. The lake is relatively still. The canoe moves slowly, turns slightly, but remains generally in place, floating, suspended, on water, under sky, between city and horizon, in the night that holds everything without judging anything. Faint shapes are visible on the distant shore. You think they are buildings, villages perhaps, agricultural settlements. The mainland shore is populated. People live there, farm there, exist there in relationship with the lake, just as the city exists in relationship with the lake. But the mainland is different from the island city, less dense, more spread out, more directly connected to agricultural land. The mainland villages support the city, provide food, provide labor, provide tribute. The relationship is complex, economic, political, social. But at this distance, in this darkness, the complexities, invisible, the distant settlements are just shapes, evidence of human presence, dots of light marking inhabited spaces. No different from stars except they rest on the horizon rather than above it. You think about connections, about how the city is connected to the world beyond, the causeways, the canoes, the trade routes, the political relationships. The city does not exist in isolation, is not self-sufficient, depends on the larger network of the empire, and the empire depends on the city. As capital, as center, as the place where authority resides, where decisions are made, where power is concentrated, the relationship flows both ways, interdependence rather than independence. But the relationships are stable, have been stable. The system works, has worked for a long time, generations. The city thrives, the empire expands, the balance holds. Horizons are quiet till they are not. The thought arrives, settles. Horizons appear stable, unchanging. The line between here and there, between known and unknown, between present and future. But horizons can change, new things can appear, can cross the horizon, can arrive from beyond vision, can transform what was stable into something else. You do not think about what might come. Do not imagine specifics. Just acknowledge the general truth that horizons are boundaries, and boundaries can be crossed from either side. The city feels permanent, feels established, feels like it will continue, and it will continue for a time, for the foreseeable future. Tomorrow will come and the city will wake and the patterns will resume, but nothing is permanent, not cities, not empires, not the complex systems that seem so stable until they are not. Everything changes, given enough time. The horizon is quiet now, but it will not always be quiet. You do not dwell on this. Do not spiral into anxiety or foreboding. The thought is just acknowledgement, reality, the way things are. The city rests, the lake rests, the night continues, and you float at the edge, looking toward a horizon that reveals nothing, that holds its secrets, that separates now from what comes next. Eventually, you begin paddling again, back toward the city. Away from the edge, away from the horizon, the causeway recedes behind you, the buildings increase, the canals resume, the city receives you back into its network. The horizon remains, silent, patient, holding whatever it holds, revealing nothing until the time comes to reveal. And when that time comes, the horizon will no longer be quiet, will no longer be just a line, will become something else, something active, something that changes everything. But that is not now, not tonight. Tonight, the horizon is just the edge of vision, just the boundary between here and there, just a line in the darkness. And you move away from it, back into the city that exists now, that is real now, that holds you now in its pattern of water and stone and night. The sky is changing, subtle, almost imperceptible, but changing. The black is less absolute. The darkness is thinning at the edges. The stars are beginning to fade, not disappearing, not yet. Just becoming less bright, less dominant. You have returned to the center of the city. The canoe moves through familiar canals, past buildings you have seen before, past walkways and platforms and the evidence of human habitation that fills this place. But everything feels different. The night is ending. the transitions beginning, the pause between night and day, the moment when both exist simultaneously and neither is complete. The mountains are becoming visible, their outlines clearer, the silhouette more defined. The highest peak shows first, the one with snow, the white catching the earliest light, reflecting it, and announcing that somewhere, beyond the horizon, the sun is preparing to rise. Oh, the water is changing too, still dark, still mostly black, but the black is shifting toward blue, toward gray. The water is receiving light that is not yet visible directly. Light reflected from atmosphere, from clouds, from the approaching dawn. The temple pyramids stand against the lightening sky. Their shapes are clearer now, more distinct. The step levels visible. The stairs readable. The structures are no longer just silhouettes. They are becoming three-dimensional again. Forms with surfaces, with texture. The city is still sleeping. The homes are dark. The plazas are empty. The people remain at rest, but the city is preparing to wake. The architecture is becoming visible. The relationships between buildings are clarifying. The urban landscape is emerging from shadow. Canoes are still tied at walkways, empty, waiting, but some will be used soon. The first workers will wake, will paddle to the chinampas, will begin the day's labor before the sun climbs high and the heat becomes oppressive. The floating gardens are unchanged. The plants stand as they stood all night, growing imperceptibly. The maize stops, the beans, the squash, the crops are there, present, providing the food that sustains the city, indifferent to whether humans are awake or asleep. The narrow channels between chinampas hold still water, dark water becoming less dark. The geometry of the agricultural system is clarifying, the precision of the layout becoming apparent as light increases. You think about what dawn brings, the return of color, of detail, of clarity. Night simplifies, reduces everything to form and shadow. Dawn complicates, returns the infinite variations of surface and texture and hue. But the complication is not yet here. The light is still dim, gray rather than golden. The world exists in gradations of darkness rather than gradations of brightness. The transition is beginning, but not complete. A bird calls. The first, a water bird. Its call is sharp, clear, breaking the silence, announcing, claiming. The bird is awake, beginning its day, finding food, defending territory, living according to the patterns that govern birds. Another bird responds. Different call, different location. The acoustic landscape is activating, sound returning after the deep quiet of night. The city is not yet noisy, but it is no longer silent. You paddle slowly. No destination, just moving, continuing the journey through the city that has lasted all night. The journey is concluding. Morning is approaching. The night voyage is ending, but the end is gentle, not abrupt, not dramatic, just a gradual transition, a fading from one state into another, night into day, darkness into light, rest into activity. The temple watches still, the great pyramid, rising from the plaza, dominating the skyline. The structure is unchanged by the approaching dawn. Stone does not wake or sleep, does not transition, simply exists, constant through the cycle of day and night. But the temple looks different in growing light, more real, more present. The details are returning, the precision of construction, the individual blocks, the stairs that climb the face, the platform at the top. You think about the people in their homes, still sleeping, most of them, bodies at rest, minds dreaming or not dreaming. unconscious or nearly so. The city holds them, protects them, allows them the vulnerability of sleep. Soon they will wake, will rise, will begin the day's routines, grinding corn, lighting fires, dressing, moving into the day's activities. The city will transform, will become active, will fill with voices and movement and the energy of people engaged in life. But that transformation has not yet begun. The city rests fully intact, complete in its stillness, perfect in its pause, the moment before change, the breath before action. The horizon is glowing, faint, pink-orange. The sun is below the horizon still, but its light reaches the sky, illuminates the atmosphere, creates color where there was only gray. The glow spreads, rose, announces the coming day. The mountains are silhouetted against the glow, dark shapes, solid masses. The contrast is beautiful, stark, the hard edge of terrain against the soft gradient of sky. Nature and light in relationship. The water begins to shimmer, just slightly, the surface catching and reflecting the increasing light. Individual ripples becoming visible, the texture of the lake revealing itself. Water is not smooth, is not uniform, is constantly moving in small ways. The canoes tied at walkways rock gently, the same rocking they have done all night, but visible now. The motion apparent, the boats responding to the lake's constant movement. Smoke begins to rise, from one chimney, then another, the first fires being lit, the first meals being prepared, people waking, beginning the transition from sleep to waking, from rest to activity. The smoke is white, thin, rising straight up in the still air. The smoke marks occupied homes, marks the beginning of the day, the return of human activity to the city. More light, more color. The sky is no longer gray, is becoming blue, pale blue. The blue of early morning, the blue that precedes the full brightness of day. The water reflects this blue, becomes blue itself, dark blue, deep blue. The black is gone completely now. The city is waking, not all at once, not suddenly, but gradually, person by person, household by household. The process is distributed, decentralized, but collective. The city waking as a whole. Even though each person wakes individually, you guide the canoe to a walkway, the same walkway where the journey began, or a similar one. They look alike in this light. The canoe nudges against wood. You tie it, secure it. The journey is ending where it began, on water, in the city. You step onto the walkway, stand, the canoe behind you, the city around you, the sky above you lightening. With every moment, the morning will arrive, is arriving. The sun will crest the mountains, will spill light across the valley, will illuminate the lake, will wake the city completely. The day will begin in earnest. The patterns will resume. Life will continue. The horizon will change one day. The thought returns, settles. The horizon that was quiet all night, that revealed nothing, that held its secrets. That horizon will not always be quiet. Something will come from beyond, from the distance, something that will cross the horizon and arrive and change everything. The city that seems permanent, the empire that seems stable, the systems that seem reliable, all of it will change, but not today, not this morning. Today the city wakes to another day of continuity, another day of patterns repeating, another day of life proceeding as it has proceeded. The sun touches the highest mountain peak. The snow glows, brilliant white. The light is golden, warm, the color of beginning, the first direct sunlight of the day. The light spreads, flows down the mountain, reaches the valley floor, touches the lake. The water sparkles, glitters, becomes a surface of scattered light. Beautiful, transformative, the temple catches the light. The pyramid's eastern face, the stone glows, pale gold. The structure is fully visible now. Every detail, every level, the temple at dawn. Magnificent, the city is illuminated. Buildings emerge from shadow. Colors appear. The adobe is tan. The stone is gray. The thatch is golden brown. The city has color again, has dimension, has the infinite complexity of real things seen in real light. But for now, in this moment, the empire sleeps, not literally, not completely. People are waking, fires are being lit. The day's beginning, but metaphorically, spiritually. The empire sleeps in the sense that it does not know what is coming, does not see the horizon changing, exists in the present without awareness of the future that approaches. The sleep is not ignorance, not foolishness, just the normal state of being, of living in the now, of not knowing what time brings. Everyone sleeps this way, every city, every civilization, living in the moment they occupy, unable to see beyond the horizon, unable to know what comes next. And perhaps that is mercy. Perhaps not knowing is gift. Perhaps living fully in the present, without the weight of knowing the future, is how life should be lived. The city is beautiful in this light. The morning light, the light that is neither night nor full day, the transition light. Everything is soft, gentle, full of possibility. You stand on the walkway, watch the light spread, watch the city wake, watch another day begin in a place that has seen countless days and will see countless more until the day comes when it does not. But that day is not this day. This day the city continues, the empire continues. The lake holds the city, the mountains frame the valley, the sky arches overhead, the sun rises, the patterns repeat, and you are here, present, witness, having moved through the night, having seen the city in darkness, having been part of the pause, part of the quiet, part of the moment between. The night voyage ends, the day begins. The city wakes, and somewhere beyond the horizon, beyond sight, beyond knowing, the future waits, patient, inevitable, approaching at the speed of time itself. But that is not now. Now is this. This light, this water, this city, this moment, this morning, this beginning. The empire sleeps. The horizon remains quiet. The city wakes, and life continues, always, endlessly, until it does not. But for now, this morning, for this day, it does.